Hi everyone, this is Professor Benjamin, and at the end of this week, due by June 9th, is your midterm exam. So I just want to walk you through the review sheet and hopefully maybe it'll answer some of your questions or explain any information that you may need. So you get one chance to take the midterm exam during this week, and so you can't start the exam and then come back to it another time. So once you sit down to start your exam, you have to give yourself the time to do it. So make sure you take that into account, that you do get 3 hours to take the exam. And I know a lot of people think 3 hours is a lot of time, right? So I don't need to prepare before the midterm exam. No, unfortunately, this midterm exam is all essays. And I actually give you all the questions for the midterm exam. So the best thing to do is to type out all the answers, and the actual midterm exam will only take you about 5 minutes because you'll be copying and pasting your answers that you've pre-written into the exam portal. Okay, but I do give you 3 hours for the exam portal if you choose not to do that. Here, I've been teaching this course for over 8 years now, and a lot of students say, oh, well, 3 hours is plenty of time, and I'm just going to search for the answers during the exam. And I will be honest with you, most of the time that does not work out for students. They run out of time. So they get to question 8 and 9 and they go, oh my gosh, it's just too much. I can't find the answers, or I can't write, or you know, and they just run out of time, and then they don't excel on the midterm exam. So it's really important that you write out the answers or type out the answers before the exam, and then the exam portal should just take you about 15 minutes. Okay. So that's it. Here is where you find it. So if you're on the home page, you click on modules over here, and it is under the sustainability session, or actually I think it's the food session. So if we scroll down, it's right here. See session 6 that we just did. Here it is, review for the midterm exam. You will also have this for the final exam too, so it's the same thing. I know I say 2.5 hours here, but I actually do give you 3 hours to do it, so you have plenty of time to take the midterm exam if you have done that. So these are friends of ours, own those restaurants. So here is review for the midterm exam. This can be found in a separate module, so you could see where the midterm exam can be found. It actually is found in a separate module, and it is found it's under the air session, so you can see it's right here. And so you want to make sure that you find that. You also, don't forget, have your session, your forum posts and quizzes due. So you have a lot due this week. So it's absolutely essential that you plan ahead and plan accordingly this week. So you have a lot due this week. Here is the review for the midterm. I tell you what session to find the information under. I don't give you the answers, but I tell you. So session 1, what are the main reasons for uncertainty and understanding of the environment, and how does the scientific method help us remove this uncertainty? So this can be found in the textbook. That's why it says text next to it. So you can look in the PowerPoints, you can read it in the textbook. Same thing for why are negative and positive feedback loops important for the environment. Every answer needs to be at least 1 full paragraph in length. That means 4 sentences. So this one, of course, easily can be 4 sentences because you can explain why there's main reasons for uncertainty, complexity, ignorance, all of these reasons, right? And then you can explain why the scientific method can remove that uncertainty by having a hypothesis, and we can retest the results, and they can have factual reasoning behind them, etc. This one is a little bit tougher to write 4 sentences on. So if you just give me the answer because it instills homeostasis in the environment, well, I want you to explain what homeostasis is, because I may not know that you understand what homeostasis is. The other thing is, I want you to use sources I have given you. For people who go out and just Google, a lot of times those answers are not associated with this class. So you're going to find examples for homeostasis dealing with blood and all of this stuff, or temperature in the body. I want it to be related to this class. So that's why it's really important for you to use the sources that I have given you. because sometimes terms in that we use in this class have a different meaning outside of this class. For example, preservation. A lot of you are going to Google what preservation means, and a lot of times that means preservation of buildings, historic buildings. Well, in this class, that's not what it means. It means hands-off nature, so they're two different things. So I want you to make sure that you use sources I have given you in this class. Tragedy of the Commons article, so this is the Garrett Hardin article. You're going to want to go back and reread it. So if you haven't read it, you need to go back and reread it again, because you need to make sure that I understand that you understand the material that I've given you. Why do we use mutual corrosions? Corrosion to protect the environment. Does it work as part of this article? So you want to make sure you read about that. He talks about parking meters and other ways that we tax people, and so you want to make sure you look at that. Why does a welfare state not help to protect the commons, and why do technical solutions not work in solving the commons problem? So these are probably 3 separate questions, so each answer needs to be at least a paragraph in length. When are invasive species considered a tragedy of the commons? Remember, all invasive species are not tragedy of the commons, only when they are brought in for human gain, human short-term gain. And I discussed this in the PowerPoint for that session. Explain how our current views on the environment have been formed. This can be found in both the PowerPoint and the text. It's really important that you include religion in there. Our monotheistic religious tendencies have caused us to become, have shaped our views on the environment. And I know a lot of you may be very religious, but monotheistic religions actually put man above nature, and so that makes us feel like we can control nature, while the Bible and the Quran and other texts talk about us protecting nature or being its steward. That means that we're in charge of it. When you're the steward for it, it means you're in charge of it. It doesn't mean that nature is of its own. So for example, here's a great example. You know, lots of storms and tornado watches. We've had those over the past couple weeks, and a lot of people say, thank God that storm didn't hit us. When in fact, really, it has to do with nature. It has to do with high and low pressure weather systems and how the air is moving, but you'll hear a lot of people say, well, thank God. That means you're actually putting God in charge of nature. So that is a way that we've become detached. I know that's a hard concept for a lot of people to understand, but it is a way. How can we put monetary value on clean air and clean forests? So this is actually going to come from 2 major places in this class. Number 1 is going to come from the text on hedonic valuation, ecological valuation, and contingent valuation. So in chapter 3, I think it's chapter 2, they talk about this. And then it's also coming from Pricing the Priceless article. So you need to actually include both of those in this answer. Preservation and conservation. So this is explain the difference between a conservation and preservationist as they relate. And I say protecting buildings is not preservation activity as per this class. So you need to use the textbook answers for these. Now the Hetchy controversy is only spoken about in just one little short area in the text. I want you can use an outside source for this, just for the Hetchy part of the answer. Okay, and you can see I've written that here. Why can we not live on a linear system in a finite world? I want you to remember that this is not because we run up to limitations. I do not want you to summarize the story of stuff video for me. I want you to explain what a linear system is and why a line is not conducive to protecting the environment. So in a linear system, there's only an input and an output. That output is not put back into the input again, which means that the trash is not reused, or the resources that we export are not reused, or the trash that we put into the system to make our products is not reused, and this is a problem. Okay, then we have session 5. I want you to talk about fair trade. So there's a couple really good articles and podcasts under there. Organic food and fair trade do not have clear sets of rules, so people find loopholes in them, and that's the big controversy with fair trade. Sustainability. What are 3 main parts of sustainability? You need to explain environmental, social, and economic. What are those portions? And you need to look for a sustainable business, and you can use gridphilly.com. I do not want you to use Coca-Cola or anyone that's on the Forbes list that's the best, most sustainable companies, because people pay to be on that list. You need to find a sustainable company and give me what makes them sustainable. Okay. Oh, and there is one more question. Why is it not on there? I have to add it. I'll send it out to you today, later today. There's going to be one question from Food Incorporated on your midterm exam, and I will send that out today to you. And so you can prepare for that. So I apologize. I will definitely put that question on there, the Food Incorporated question. I'll forward it out to you probably at about noon today. Okay, the question on there, and that'll be added to the midterm exam. That's usually on here. I'm sorry, I must have deleted it accidentally. Okay, so here's just a little roundup review for your midterm exam. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out.